I don't know exactly what we'll do with it, but it's being recorded here. So, Jim, come on. Jim Ray said, no beer, see ya. So, thanks, dude. Okay, so what's going to happen here, and hopefully those folks, as you can see, the audio is only over the computer, so there's no phone call or anything along those lines, because again, we're using live meeting. We don't have the synchronized conference call capability or anything along those lines. So, okay. So here's what we're going to do. And again, I want to be real clear here. Anybody who is seeing, just got a phone call, which I don't want. So anybody who is seeing the whole issue of, like, we're going to tell you exactly what to do and what not to do and all that fun stuff, ain't going to be this. We're going to basically talk about what has worked for us in terms of marketing, Simplex-IT, what works, what hasn't, and really we're going to talk as much about the method of what we do as we talk about what it is specifically. You're welcome to steal from us. In some issues, some cases we'll talk about materials that third parties have. Those obviously we can't share quite as much, although we'll talk about our experience, like with Robin Robbins and MSPU and all that fun silliness. We're not going to slam anybody. We're not going to, judge or anything. We really haven't had horrible experience with anybody, relatively speaking. So bear in mind, and I've got a second monitor over on this side of over on my left that I'm kind of looking to see how questions are going. You know how most people, like when they do these things, they have an assistant or an attendant who's saying, look at this. No, not happening here. So there's basically two guys here in the office, and both are going to try to, throw things at me or anyway. So, give a little bit, because one of the things I think is important is for you to realize what the size of organization we have, because in some cases, some of this stuff ramps up nicely, some of it ramps down nicely, and some of it just won't work. So, some background as far as the Simplex-IT started back in 2007, August or so. It was myself and one technician, if you will. We wanted to be MSP from the beginning, so we did not go the break-fix route to MSP. We keep on saying, and this sounds lame, it's all about the customer, but we really try to make it that way, and I'm going to talk about that specifically. My former life is actually I've been in the business for 30-some years. Yes, I'm old. And of that, about 20 years or so as either CIO of companies or IT director of companies. But I've done the development, the IT pro, the consultant, blah, blah, blah. So one of the things that I try to bring to the table is I can really look at things from different perspectives. So from 3.5, 4 years ago, we are now myself, a full-time salesperson, 3 full-time technicians, one part-time technician, and 1 part-time marketing. The part-time technician is really a database DBA type of person, and the marketing is a person who does work one day a week. Got a question about who does my admin, paperwork, bookkeeping. You're looking at them. We try to keep the paperwork to a minimum, relatively speaking. The part-time marketing person, she's responsible for kind of putting together a good chunk of the newsletter and the postcards and the LinkedIn and the Facebook, the social media type side. Everybody here writes blog entries. And then the final line is kind of goes into that as well. My time, 30% text, 70% reality. When I first started, it was probably reversed. And I keep telling people that when I started this company, the whole thing was I was a geek who owned a company, and it's hilarious. My brain is now, I am a business owner. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm a technician, I'm a geek. And I can tell you that I did that on purpose. I didn't. That basically is what has happened. And I am not saying, I'm not sitting here going, look at the wonderful success we've been a successful company, relatively speaking. And it's worked for us, and it would work for some and not for others. The MSP focus, do we not accept break-fix clients? Good question. Remember the consultant's credo, your check is my command. There is also, how much business do you need? If you need the business, you accept break-fix. The question to me, and especially in terms of this conversation, who do you want to have as customers? That's what marketing's about. When you start talking about going out there, you go out there looking for the customers, looking for the business that you want. You can take other business that comes your way, depending upon both your need and your wants. But when it comes time to spending marketing dollars, you don't spend marketing dollars to attract people who are not going to be the kind of people who you want to get. Now, again, this is my opinion, my experience, but I think you have to be, as a business owner in this biz, you have to be focused on these kind of issues, because if you're not, nobody else will be. Okay? All right. Our marketing goals. We're a little bit weird in this standpoint, and I'll explain why. First of all, we want people to know who we are. I love it when someone says, I've heard of you, and we get that a lot. And that doesn't make a lot of sense because we're not very big. By the way, we're smack between Cleveland and Akron in Northeast Ohio. And we have customers up in Cleveland. We have customers in Akron. We're not proud. We also have some networks in England and Colombia and Florida and Michigan that we're responsible for. We didn't go for those guys, but we ended up kind of getting them, which was a little bit weird. So our goal is we want people to know us, so we've heard of you, okay? And then when they've dealt with us or when they've seen some of the marketing stuff, it's these three key points, and I'll get back to these later, is the first one, these guys know what they're talking about. And by the way, guys is a generic term. So we want to demonstrate our knowledge, and that does not mean that we're going to hold it above people. If you do that, that will not work well. And I'll explain that as well as we go. Then the next point is these guys are willing to share. You have no idea how many IT people come across to either business people or other IT people as, I've got a secret. We want to be those cool guys, all right? I would much rather have 10 conversations with people where we shared knowledge and made their lives better, so that they walked away going, hey, we had a good experience with these guys, even if we didn't get business from them, because they will come back to us later without going to anybody else. And then the last one, last point here, these guys are fun. And I am dead serious about that. I am dead serious about that. And again, if you take a look at those three bullet points, it is all about the experience on the part of the end user, the customer. We want them to have a good experience dealing with us. And our marketing is all on that, is all focused on that. There's another question saying, I said I'm recording, can I get a link or copy? Once we get this done, we'll figure out what we can or can't do. I can't promise anything. Plus, it kind of depends on whether or not I walk away from this thinking I'm going to suck, in which case then, the dog ate my hard drive. So. Okay, why do people choose us? 2/3 of our customers decided to look somewhere else because they were dissatisfied with their previous support. But here's the weird, and that's, well, duh, but for non-technical reasons. They didn't call back. They were condescending. It was just a bad experience dealing with those people. Okay? And that resonates tremendously with us. We want people to sit back and say, boy, we had oh, somebody said, don't worry, it doesn't suck. I was like, oh, please, really? Come on. It's not like we're giving prizes out here, okay? And yes, I am this condescending and arrogant in real life, and yet people say they're dissatisfied with the other people. It blows my mind. Anywho, so a lot of our customers, they contact us, they're looking for whomever because they just had bad experience with the guys. Okay, and you've no doubt heard when we on the news group, and it's always somebody else we're talking about, but we talk about, oh yeah, the previous guy did this or the previous guy did that, whatever. And then the other issue is whenever I'm talking to business owners, and we also have clients who have full IT staffs, and we're enhancing there or backing them up or doing whatever, but especially from business owners, because that's our sweet spot, is where we are the IT department. One of the biggest, or the two things that I'm always listening for is that it should just work, and it shouldn't be this complicated. Okay? Notice technology has nothing to do with either of those statements. What does this have to do with marketing? Plenty. I'll get to that. But before we can market, we have to decide what we're going to and who we're going to. Okay? So those two questions, I mean, if you think about all the interaction that you guys have had with business owners, those two pop up a lot. And as soon as those 2 points pop up, man, that's gravy to me. I mean, that's wonderful, because that's where we can start saying, yeah, we hear that a lot, except from our customers. Okay? Because we're perfect, never make any mistakes. Oops, excuse me. Okay. Golden rules when we start talking about marketing. All right? IT people, by and large, think they know more than everybody else. Okay? And they might on some topics, and they might not on others. But here's some things on this one. Number one, we don't get to choose what medium our customers like or potential customers like. They do and will. So whenever I hear somebody say something like, well, this medium doesn't work, or nobody listens to this, or nobody reads this, or nobody, please bite me. You know, it's like the political left or the political right saying the American people want, no. You want them to want this. The question is that what is the most effective way to reach people? And remember push and pull. The whole concept of 2.0, Web 2.0, that I keep talking with customers and people about is it used to be that we either pushed information out or we pulled information in. So an example is a newspaper. If you want to get a newspaper, every time one is put out, then the publisher of the newspaper will push one out to you by delivering it to your home, in which case they decide when you get the information, when you get the experience. A pull, on the other hand, is when you decide, yeah, you know, today I'd like to go get a newspaper, so you go to the local newsstand, drugstore. I'm assuming you guys still know what newspapers are. You'll go where, whatever, and you will pull the newspaper to you. In one case, the publisher or owner of the information decides who to give it to and when. And the other case, the consumer of the information decides. Well, when you start talking about blogs, when you start talking about Twitter, when you start talking about all these things, neither one can decide for the other how information is going to be shared. And so you have to remember that it's the ultimate in democracy here. And to me, it's not hard to get around, but you need to keep that in mind. You can't force things on people who don't want to see it. And you can't wait around and wait for people to go get the information if you don't give them the opportunity to give it to them. The third one, it's not about impressing or communicating to you. And this is one where, especially for the Robin stuff, where people say, nobody likes that, their postcards, because they're all so juvenile and all that. Well, first of all, it's usually someone saying that they don't like it. And by the way, I'm not saying that they're the most wonderful thing in the world. But the idea is, are you communicating to the people who you want to communicate? Who are those people? They are the people who are asking the questions, it should just work and it shouldn't be this complicated. So the question is, they're the ones you're impressing or communicating to, all right? Not you. You have to basically be proud of your company and say it represents appropriately your company, all right? But it doesn't have to communicate or impress you. And then the last one, don't advocate. You know, a lot of people like to, there's an old Russian proverb which I absolutely love and I use constantly, and it is, it's a short walk to the church, it's cold outside. It's a long walk to the bar, I'll wear a jacket. If somebody wants to do something, they will do it. If they don't want to do it, they'll find reasons to justify. You cannot abdicate this process. You can't abdicate it to a third party, as in Robin Robbins. You can't abdicate it to a college intern. You can't abdicate it to an employee. You have to know what's going on. Once you're comfortable with what it's doing, then you can start delegating. Huge difference between abdication and delegation. Okay? That doesn't mean you make all the decisions and it's all about you, but you have to be the one at the end of the day who says, yes, that's what I'm looking for.